G'day, mate. How you going?
Good, man.
That's
How you
good.
been?
Good.
Awesome. So I'm being a lazy bastard, and we're getting the hired help to go and box everything up. So yeah, this is Nathan. So Nathan operates Hammeroo, and yeah, we're trying to avoid the kids today, so we're at the toy shop. Like the shirt, by the way. Look at that. Woohoo!
I'll be in the shed.
Just like I bought one. G'day, I'm Dale. Welcome to delbasid-timbers. Well, today in the shed Mahal, we're going to be turning a little bit of the burl. Recently I took a trip down south, and on the way back I went to see a mate of mine, Scotty, who operates custom creations down in Brisbane, and he took me to a mate of his down to see Nathan at Hammeroo. So, without too much more mucking about, I'm going to show you a bit of the process. The footage in at Nathan's is a bit sketchy because he had huge industrial fans going, so the sound might be a bit dodgy. I might just do a little bit of overdubs with it because that might make life a little bit easier to hear. I've got the fans going in here too because it's still pretty warm. Anyway, rabbiting on. Now, here we go. Alright, well, putting on a round template like that actually helps me when I'm going to whack it on the bandsaw, because trying to do that with a compass and trying to actually get it round, if I'm even doing it with chalk marks, is nigh on impossible. So this is actually a really useful way to be able to do that. It is first world problems though, really, isn't it? If all I've got to worry about is the slowness of turning a wheel, then we don't really have too much to worry about, do we? Just takes a bit of patience. Sorry, excuse my fat ass in camera. You probably didn't need to see that. Okie dokie, now we're all mounted up. Now I know, because if you look here, that bit's really, really thin. So down in here, we've got a little bit of an inclusion that'll go down a little bit of a way. So I've also got some design things I've got to think about here. Now, if you look at it as opposed to on this side, now if I just let that drop, we can see that that's really, really unbalanced. I'll do it again, see? Bloop. Okay, so we know that all around here is the really heavy part. Now the other part of this is when I turn it on, I know this is going to be really unbalanced. Now this might sound a little bit sketchy, but for reasons that probably don't need to be discussed. I don't actually have the lathe bolted down to the floor at the moment. So it is going to sound a little bit dooga 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 dooga, as we are going to have quite a bit of vibration. Now, what we'll do is we'll just turn all this stuff away. Now this means that we're going to end up having to get rid of quite a bit of this down in here as well, I think. I don't know, we'll have to work it out as we go. We'll have to see what it means. But I want to start to balance it up first. And once we get it true and running a little bit more smoothly, then we can come back and have a little bit more of a think about the actual shape that we're going to do. Because I don't know with this stuff here whether that's really going to be very conducive to do wings. And I also don't know what's going to be down in there yet, whether we're going to have any cracks or any movement or whatever. Sometimes with burls, it's a little bit of a surprise. All right, let's spin it up. See how we go. Okay, well, we're slowly sort of getting somewhere. I mean, it really hasn't taken long. I think we're only sort of about 5 minutes in. There wasn't much point just showing you all of the complete bang, bang, bang. But already we're starting to see some of that burl colour come through. So you can see sort of what we're going to be aiming for. But I've still got all of this I've got to deal with. Now, a lot of that is pretty sort of chippy and rubbishy, so... With a lot of burl places that you get, they actually pressure wash all the rubbish, all the bark off the back of the burl. But that tends to be quite a bit more expensive when you actually buy that burl. I get the burl from Nathan for a pretty damn good price considering what burl normally goes for, especially stuff like Red Mallee. So sometimes you've just got to deal with all the crud. The other thing is, because all that bark is in there and all that rubbish, takes the edge off your chisels really, really quickly. I'll be up for a sharpen pretty shortly. But you can see we're already starting to get a little bit more balance. So that's not falling anywhere near as quickly as what it was before. So I can even get it to there. So it happens pretty quickly. Yeah, I'm now going to have to start to think a little bit though, what sort of shape that we want. Because the other thing is, all down in here, I'm going to have to take this down in quite a little bit because otherwise I'm not going to have any mounting point when I get to turn it around and put it on the chuck. So I've got to think what I want for that, and I'm actually going to lose a lot of height out of here. So I'm just going to take that out first, and then I can start to think about what I want down in there. But it does mean I'm going to have a shallower bowl than what I thought to start with. But, you know, that is what it is. You work with the timber that you got. There's a lot of bouncing with this because we've got nowhere near round. So this back end of the tool here, the handle, I've actually got whacked in right down deep in under my ribs. So that's locked in there hard. Now, unless I go somewhere, and that's going to be pretty exciting if that happens. So unless I go somewhere, the tool can't go anywhere. So that's a really, really handy way to think about it. If you're turning something big or something really out of round and you're getting a lot of chatter and a lot of bounce, really lock that handle in against your hip or in under your ribs. I like it in under my ribs because that's just comfortable for me. But a lot of people like it just sitting on top of their hip and they lock it down in hard against like that. Just a little bit of a tip. So as you can see down in here, I've got all of this loose rubbish, because there's an inclusion that comes all the way through here. Now that's going to look amazing, but the problem that it does, hang on, I'll bring you around this way so you can sort of see it. All in here, I've got to make either a tenon or a mortise here somewhere so that I can actually get the chuck to attach to the timber so that when I turn it around, I've actually got something to work with. Now, the question being is, I've got to deal with all of this down in here. Now that's going to mean I've still got to come further down this way. So this bowl is going to go from, you know, that deep down to about that deep. But there's really not much I can do about that. I can muck about and try and do glue blocks and all that sort of stuff. But there starts to become a little bit of a safety issue about that, and I get a little bit nervous about that. So I'm probably better off feeling far more comfortable to actually sacrifice some timber rather than try to muck about and maximise my depth of the bowl. I think discretion being the better part of valour here. But yeah, you can see that we're actually starting to get somewhere. The colour of that's going to be really, really nice. But yeah, playing with burls often means that as you go, you're sort of playing a little bit on the hop as to how the design pans out. Because often, unless you've got that bark off, you really don't quite know exactly what's under it, and that's sort of what we're finding at the moment. But that's part of the fun. All right, we will move this a little tiny bit, and it's probably getting a bit exciting, a bit too close. What do you reckon? You reckon that's a bit better? Yeah, okay. But yeah, as you can see, that balance point now, where's that falling part? See? We're not too bad, so I can probably even afford to turn the lathe up in terms of speed a little tiny bit. Happy days. So there we go, much quicker. We've actually taken all the vibration out. There's really bugger all there now, so this will speed the process up, and will be a lot better on my poor little sketchy shoulder and me ribs. I'm just going to have to keep playing and have a bit of a think. Let's get rid of a little bit more of the rubbish on the outside and think about what we're going to do down in here, because that makes me a bit nervous, lassie and laddies. All you mob. That's just the worst accent. I'm so sorry, I do apologise. I think I'm actually going to have to sacrifice a little bit of diameter here as well. Kind of might end up being really cool. I'll have to put it, I think, on my small jaws rather than my big jaws, which doesn't make me quite as happy, so I'll have to put it on my, my smaller chuck. But I think we may be okay. Yeah, I think we're going to lose a little bit of diameter, just because I think that's a necessary thing, just to make it look a little bit right. But I'm trying to keep some interesting stuff. Where are we? Up around here. Can you see it? All this stuff. Now, while there's a bit of fur and stuff in there, I'm actually starting to get to some hard stuff here. So if I can roll that over, but what I might end up doing is actually having quite a nice decorative part here. And to be brutally honest, if that ends up being a hole in there, I don't mind. And the reason I don't mind is that if something holds water, it's a bowl. If it doesn't hold water, it's art. And if it's art, I charge 10 times more than a frickin' bowl. I tell you what, the shavings of this stuff is sharper than Robin Williams' wit. Mate, all up my stump, which is why I've now got my sleeve down. I'm actually getting burns all up through there. I know that tomorrow, that will probably have scabbed up because I can actually feel, can you see it? Oh, mate. Woo-hoo-hoo. Because this stuff doesn't come off as regular shavings, it actually comes off like little fine needles. Okay, I was just playing around with this. Just have a listen. This is the reason why you need to always make sure that you listen to what things are going on. What things are going on? Oh, you know what I mean. You've got to make sure you know what's going on. Listen to stuff. Just listen to the difference suddenly. Okay, that makes me know that something in the back here with that faceplate has moved. Now, I know that I didn't have it completely locked down, completely flat, So what I know is one of those screws has slightly shifted. So now what I have to do, I have to make sure that I take it off, retighten that, because if I don't do that, firstly, there's the likelihood I'm going to snap off screws, which is going to be a right real pain to get out. But the other thing is, if that does happen and the whole thing lets go, then I've got this as a freaking great missile that's going to end up around my ear rolls, and I don't need that level of excitement on a Tuesday afternoon. So we'll take him off, give it a tighten up, and then we'll whack it back on. But yeah, always listen. Listen to things that are different. If anything suddenly sounds different, hit the stop button and work out why. There we go. We've now been sanded up to 800 grit. Yeah, come and have a squizzy at that. Oh, am I in the way? Look at that. Is that pretty yummy or what? I don't know what that looks like. What do you reckon? Do you think it looks like coral, or does it look like an oceanscape in an atlas? I don't know, maybe they look like countries on a map. I don't know, I'm just making shit up as I go along. You know how it goes. But yes, now we're just going to whack a little bit of a finish on it, and I'll quickly show you what that looks like when it's sorted. But I might just take a little couple of stills. What do you reckon? I don't know, I'm just making this stuff up, as I said. Yeah. Alright. Don't turn that on when you're leaning against it, ya dick. That'd be silly. Yeah. I'm quite happy with that so far. Alright. So there we are. That's the back done. Now, admittedly, we're an hour and a half into this one, and it normally doesn't take me anywhere near this long to turn the back of a bowl. Yeah, it's been pretty hard. And it's been a little bit tricky with this little difficult bit that we've got around the mortise here. But I think that's actually looking really, really nice. So we'll spin them around. Do you want to come and have a look? Come on, why not? Oh, hang on, am I going to be in the light? I'm trying to stay out of the light. There we go. Look at that. So, right there, that's how thin the rim is going to be. All that other stuff is just going to be fat, and that's just because of the shape that the faceplate went on to start with. So that's all right, we'll get rid of that when we turn him around. I might actually do a little tiny bit of tailstock support just to start with. I don't normally do that, but this one we might make a little bit of an exception for. All right, you don't need to see me taking off face plates and stuff like that. The only reason I'll show you is if I accidentally snap off a screw in here. In fact, wherever you are in the world, you'll probably hear the swearing from where you are. What I've done is I've had a bit of a turn and looked at where I'm playing with here. Now, that's about as good as I'm actually going to get. So I think because of this bit here, it was going to look a little bit odd if I had have just left that as a big hole. So I'm going to make this here, where are you? Can you see? You know, that bit there, that's going to become the rim. So I'm going to get rid of all of this, but that's going to be the rim of the bowl, and I'm going to plunge in down through there. Now, because I had to take so much off the back, I'm not going to be able to make a really, really deep bowl here anyway. But I don't know if I'm actually going to meet up with all of that other stuff down inside and end up with that hole like I thought that I might. Doesn't matter, but might have just been a nice decorative thing. Not sure yet about the shape. I'm umming and ahhing a bit. Oh, there you go. Get my big arm in the way. Can you see over there? You probably can't see too well in terms of what the actual shape is. Hang on. At least that shows you a little bit closer as to what I'm doing. Anyway, we'll just keep going. I'll turn you off for a bit and we'll come back in a little while. So we've got to the end of the turning. I think that's actually coming out looking really, really nice. It's almost got a little bit of a marble effect, doesn't it? Come and have a look. I think that nice element of simplicity is good, and that little tiny rim in there before it drops down into the bowl is nice. So we'll just give it a quick sand and we'll whack a finish on it and then we're done. It's actually taken me a lot longer than what I anticipated, just get all the mucking about that we had to do. Alright, I won't bore you with the sanding, but I might put it back on during a bit of a polish or something. What do you reckon? Might be nicer if you see this a bit closer, hey? That's pretty damn nice, isn't it? I do love myself a bit of burl. So yep, this is Red Mallee Burl. Hardius bastardus is the Latin name for it. Yeah, I think that came up pretty nicely. Only took one sharpen, so that's a good thing. And as you saw before, I've still got a box load of them. Alright, I'll take a few stills and you know the gig. We'll see you next time. Alright, next time.